Before you lift a single weight, before you begin the exercise, before sweat touches the floor, there is a more important action that must take place. You must still the mind. Most people rush straight into movement because they believe progress is physical first. But discipline is never born in the body, it is born in silence. A restless mind creates wasted motion. A calm mind creates precision. Look around any gym and you'll see bodies moving but minds scattered, phones buzzing, music blaring, thoughts jumping from stress to comparison to impatience. That kind of training may burn calories, but it will never transform a life. When the mind is noisy, effort leaks, strength becomes chaotic. You lift weight, but you don't lift yourself. This 45-minute exercise begins with stillness for a reason. Stillness is not weakness. It is command. When you deliberately slow your thoughts, you take back control of your nervous system. You signal to your body that you are not here to react, you are here to direct. This is the difference between exercising and training. One is random movement. The other is intentional mastery. When the mind is calm, every repetition has meaning. You feel the muscle engage fully because attention is no longer divided. You notice posture, tension, breath, balance. You stop chasing numbers and start refining execution. This is how beginners rush and stagnate, while disciplined practitioners progress with fewer reps and less noise. Stillness also exposes discomfort before the body feels it. Impatience, doubt, resistance, these show up in the mind first. If you cannot sit quietly for a few minutes before training, you will not endure pressure when the body is challenged. The exercise is teaching you to meet resistance early when it is subtle, so you can dominate it later when it is loud. Modern life trains people to escape silence. Silence forces awareness. Awareness forces responsibility. When you pause before movement, you confront yourself honestly. No distraction, no performance, just intention. Why are you here? What are you training for? Who are you becoming through this effort? These questions sharpen purpose, and purpose sharpens power. This is why monks, warriors, and elite athletes all respect ritual before action. They do not rush into battle or training scattered. They collect themselves first. A calm mind sends a clear signal through the body: move efficiently, conserve energy, stay present. This alone can increase strength output and endurance without adding a single kilogram to the bar. When the mind is still, ego loses its grip. You are no longer trying to impress anyone. You are no longer competing with the man next to you. You are working with yourself, not against yourself. This removes unnecessary tension, which allows strength to flow naturally instead of being forced. Many injuries come not from weak bodies, but distracted minds. Poor form is often the result of impatience. Stillness prevents this. It teaches you to respect the process rather than rush the outcome. Progress becomes inevitable because effort is clean. This first step is also preparation for life outside the gym. A man who cannot calm his mind before physical effort will not stay composed under pressure in relationships, work, or adversity. But a man who learns to pause, breathe, and focus becomes unshakable. He responds instead of reacts. He leads instead of follows impulse. So before you move the body, master the pause. Sit, breathe, collect your thoughts. Let the noise fade. When you rise to train, you will no longer be exercising like everyone else. You will be practicing control. And from control, all real strength is born. Once the mind is calm, the next layer of this 45-minute exercise is learning to master the breath. Most people breathe unconsciously, shallow and rushed, especially under physical stress. This is why their strength collapses when pressure rises. Breath is the bridge between mind and body. If you control it, you control your output. If you neglect it, fatigue controls you. Breathing is not just about oxygen. It is about rhythm, timing, and authority over your nervous system. When the breath becomes erratic, the body interprets danger. Heart rate spikes, muscles tighten unnecessarily, and energy drains faster than it should. You feel tired sooner, not because the body is weak, but because the breath has betrayed you. In this exercise, every movement is tied to a deliberate breath. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to execute. This creates harmony instead of chaos. Strength becomes smooth rather than forced. You stop fighting the weight and start guiding it. This is why experienced lifters often look calm, even under heavy load. Their breath is steady, so their power is steady. Modern men often rely on aggression to generate strength. They grunt, tense their face, clench their jaw, and hold their breath. This may produce short bursts of power, but it is unsustainable. It drains the nervous system and leads to burnout. Controlled breathing, on the other hand, builds endurance and composure. You become strong without becoming frantic. Breath also teaches patience. When the lungs fill slowly and fully, the body learns to wait instead of panic. This changes how you handle discomfort. The burn in the muscle no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes a signal. You stay present instead of escaping. This is where mental toughness is forged, not in reckless intensity, but in calm persistence. In traditional Shaolin practice, breath is trained before force. The idea is simple power without control is dangerous. When you breathe deeply into the lower abdomen, you stabilize the core and protect the spine. Strength travels upward and outward safely. This is not mystical, it is mechanical. Proper breathing improves posture, balance, and force transfer. This is especially important in bodybuilding and strength training. Many injuries occur because the breath collapses under load. The chest caves, the shoulders rise, the lower back compensates. Controlled breathing prevents this chain reaction. It keeps the body aligned and resilient, but the deeper lesson goes beyond the gym. Breath control under physical strain translates directly into emotional control under life strain. When stress hits, most men tense up and react, but a man trained in breath pauses instinctively. He exhales, he grounds himself, he chooses his response instead of being dragged by impulse. This is why this exercise insists on breath awareness even when it feels unnatural at first. You are retraining habits formed over years of stress, distraction, and rushed living. At first, it will feel slow. Your ego will want to rush. Ignore it. Speed without control leads nowhere. As the minutes pass, you'll notice something subtle. Your movements become quieter. Your face relaxes. Your thoughts slow down. Strength no longer feels like struggle. It feels like cooperation between mind, breath, and muscle. This is when training becomes meditation in motion. A man who can lift with calm breath can carry heavy responsibilities without collapsing. He does not waste energy on unnecessary tension. He knows when to push and when to conserve. This is real efficiency. This is mature strength. So treat every breath as part of the exercise. Do not leave it to chance. When the breath is disciplined, the body follows naturally. Control your breath, and you control the force you bring into the world. Once the mind is steady and the breath is under control, the third layer of this 45-minute exercise is structure. Structure is how the body holds itself under pressure. Most people train movement, but they never train structure. They lift, push, and pull without awareness of alignment. Over time, this creates imbalance, injury, and weak power. Strength without structure is borrowed strength. It works for a while, then it collapses. Structure begins with posture. How you stand is how you lift. How you lift is how you live. If your spine is collapsed, shoulders rounded, and hips unstable, your body is already leaking energy before the exercise even begins. This is why two men with the same muscle mass can feel completely different levels of power. One is aligned, the other is fighting himself. In this exercise, movement is slow on purpose. Speed hides flaws. Slowness exposes them. When you move slowly, you feel where the body shakes, where it compensates, where tension appears unnecessarily. This is not weakness. This is information. And information is power if you use it correctly. Modern training culture glorifies explosive movement without mastery. People rush reps, chase numbers, and ignore form. They call it intensity, but it's actually impatience. Slow movement retrains patience. It forces the ego to sit down and let the body learn. This is where real progress begins. When you lower yourself into a controlled squat or press through a slow push up, you're teaching the joints how to stack correctly. Knees track properly. Hips stay stable. The spine remains neutral. This creates a strong frame. A strong frame allows force to travel cleanly through the body instead of leaking out through misalignment. This is exactly how ancient martial disciplines approached strength. Before power came precision. Before speed came stability. They understood that a stable structure makes even modest force effective. An unstable structure makes even great force dangerous. As minutes pass in this exercise, You'll feel muscles you didn't know existed, not because the weight is heavier, but because the movement is honest. These stabilizing muscles are responsible for longevity. They protect the joints. They support posture. They allow you to train consistently instead of cycling through pain and recovery. Structure also teaches humility. You may discover that movements you thought you mastered suddenly feel difficult. This is a good sign. It means you are no longer training illusion. You are training reality. The body is finally being used the way it was designed to be used. There is also a psychological shift that happens here. When your body is aligned, your mind feels grounded. You feel centered. Decisions become clearer. Anxiety reduces. This is not coincidence. Posture affects the nervous system. A collapsed body sends signals of defeat. An upright, structured body sends signals of readiness and confidence. This is why posture is emphasized throughout the 45 minutes. Not stiff, not forced, but alert and relaxed. Strength with softness. Stability without rigidity. This balance is rare, and that's why it's powerful. Men who lack structure rely on tension to feel strong. They clench, strain, and overexert. Men with structure move efficiently. They look calm, but they are solid. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is rushed. This part of the exercise is where strength becomes sustainable. You're not just building muscle for today. You're building a body that will serve you for decades. A body that doesn't break when life applies pressure. When movement becomes intentional, every rep becomes a lesson. Every position becomes feedback. You stop training just to look strong and start training to be strong. And when your body stands correctly under weight, your life begins to stand correctly under responsibility. By the time you reach the fourth phase of this 45-minute exercise, the body is already warm, aligned, and awake. Now something deeper is tested: endurance. Not the kind people brag about, not how long you can suffer, but how long you can remain present while discomfort grows. This is where most people break, not because the body fails, but because the mind starts negotiating. Modern men are trained to quit silently. They stop pushing not when the body gives out, but when the mind whispers excuses. This is enough. I've done more than most. I can stop now. These thoughts feel reasonable, even intelligent, but they are the same thoughts that limit progress in every area of life. This phase is designed to expose that voice. The movements are still controlled. The posture remains intact, but the duration increases. Muscles begin to burn. Breath becomes heavier. The body asks for relief. And instead of fighting this sensation or escaping it, you stay with it. You observe it. You breathe into it. You don't dramatize it. This is a critical skill. Pain itself is not the problem. Resistance to pain is. Most people tense up the moment discomfort appears. They rush the movement, lose form, or mentally check out. In doing so, they train panic. But when you remain calm inside difficulty, you train composure. And composure is a form of strength few possess. Endurance training here is not about maxing out. It's about staying clean under pressure. Knees don't collapse. Shoulders don't rise. Breath doesn't become frantic. You move like someone who knows the discomfort will pass because you have seen it pass before. This is how confidence is built, not through hype, but through repetition of self-trust. As time stretches, something interesting happens. The initial intensity plateaus. The pain stops increasing. You realize that what you feared was temporary. This realization is powerful. It teaches you that many limits are imaginary ceilings created by unfamiliar sensations. Life works the same way. The first discomfort of discipline feels unbearable. The first rejection feels devastating. The first sacrifice feels unfair. But when you stay present instead of reactive, you discover that you are far more durable than you were taught to believe. This phase also exposes emotional habits. Some people become angry, some impatient, some start counting seconds as desperately. Others detach completely. None of these responses are wrong, but they are revealing. This is how you respond when life doesn't immediately reward you. Endurance teaches neutrality. You stop labeling the experience as good or bad. It simply is. And once emotion is removed, energy returns. This is why seasoned athletes and monks alike appear calm in intense situations. They are not immune to discomfort. They are no longer intimidated by it. Physically, this phase strengthens connective tissue, improves muscular stamina, and trains oxygen efficiency. But the greater benefit is psychological. You learn that effort does not require tension. You can work hard without suffering unnecessarily. Men who lack endurance chase shortcuts. Men who develop endurance build quietly, steadily, and consistently. They don't need motivation because they have tolerance. They don't fear long roads because they know how to walk them. By the end of this phase, you are no longer proving anything to anyone. You are simply present, breathing, holding form, enduring without drama. And that calm endurance is what separates men who collapse under pressure from men who remain standing when it matters most. After effort, strain, and endurance, most people think the work is finished. They rush to stand up, check their phone, distract themselves, or chase the next stimulus. But this fifth phase is where the exercise becomes complete. This is where control is no longer physical, it becomes internal. Stillness is not rest in the lazy sense. It is active awareness without movement. The body is warm, the breath is deep, the nervous system is open, and instead of collapsing, you sit or stand quietly and observe what remains. This moment reveals how addicted the modern mind is to noise. When movement stops, thoughts rush in. Regrets, plans, comparisons, doubts, you suddenly feel the urge to do something, anything. This discomfort with stillness is not accidental. It's trained. Society teaches constant stimulation, constant reaction, constant escape. This phase retrains the opposite. You don't suppress thoughts. You don't chase them either. You let them pass like clouds. The body begins to cool, the heart rate slows, and something subtle happens. You regain authority over your internal state, not through force, but through presence. This is where emotional regulation is trained. Most men believe control means dominance over others, over situations, over outcomes. But true control begins with the self. If you cannot sit quietly with your own sensations, you will always be at the mercy of impulse. You will seek pleasure to escape discomfort and distraction to avoid silence. Stillness teaches patience without boredom. Physiologically, this phase allows the nervous system to shift from fight or flight into recovery. Muscles absorb the work you've done. Hormones rebalance. But psychologically, something more important is happening. You are learning to stop without collapsing. There is a difference between stopping and quitting. Quitting is mental. Stopping is intentional. In this phase, you stop because you choose to, not because the body forces you. That distinction builds self-respect. As you remain still, awareness sharpens. You feel the heartbeat. This is where insights surface naturally. Not forced motivation, not aggressive affirmations, just quiet understanding. You begin to see patterns, where you waste energy, where you rush, where you avoid. These realizations are not loud, but they are honest. And honesty is power. This phase teaches you that discipline is not constant effort. It is rhythm. Push, endure, then integrate. Without integration, effort becomes chaos. With it, effort becomes progress. When you return to daily life after this exercise, the benefit shows up subtly. You respond instead of react. You pause before speaking. You feel less urgency to prove. You carry calm into pressure. This is why masters emphasize stillness as much as strength. A man who can be still by choice cannot be controlled by circumstance. And that quiet control stays with you long after the body stops moving. The final key point is where everything either becomes real or fades away. Many people complete an exercise, feel strong, feel motivated, and then leave it behind as something separate from life. That is the mistake. The true purpose of this practice is not what happens during the 45 minutes. It is what changes in the remaining 23 hours and 15 minutes of your day. Discipline is not an event. It is a way of moving through life. After pushing your body, controlling your breath, embracing stillness, and sharpening awareness, you leave the training space different. If you choose to notice it, your posture is more upright. Your mind is quieter. Your reactions are slower and more deliberate. This is not accidental. This is the state you are meant to carry forward. Most men train hard and then immediately return to old habits. They scroll, they indulge, they speak without thinking, they react emotionally, they waste energy. When that happens, the training becomes entertainment, not transformation. This final phase asks one question: will you live the discipline you just practiced? Discipline means choosing response over reaction. When frustration arises during the day, remember how you stayed with discomfort in the exercise instead of escaping. When temptation appears, Remember that you already proved you can delay gratification. When fatigue shows up, remember that you controlled your breath instead of collapsing. The body was the classroom. Life is the examination. This is where men separate. One man uses training as an excuse to feel superior for an hour. Another uses it as a foundation to live better every day. The difference is not strength, it is intention. Carry the same structure into your schedule. If you can commit to 45 focused minutes, you can commit to structured mornings, controlled evenings, and intentional rest. Chaos in life is rarely caused by lack of time. It is caused by lack of order. Carry the same awareness into relationships. Notice when your ego flares. Notice when you want to dominate, withdraw, or seek validation. The same awareness you use to observe your breath can be used to observe your emotions. That awareness creates space. Space creates choice. Carry the same stillness into pressure. When life demands quick decisions, your training teaches you not to panic. You have learned that calm is available even when the body is under strain. That calm becomes your advantage. This is how discipline becomes identity. Not by saying, I am disciplined, but by acting with consistency when no one is watching, by choosing the harder, cleaner option repeatedly, by respecting your word to yourself. Many men fail not because they lack motivation, but because they treat discipline as punishment. This exercise shows the opposite. Discipline is freedom. It frees you from mood, from impulse, from weakness disguised as comfort. Over time, something powerful happens. You stop needing external motivation. You no longer wait to feel ready. You act because action is who you are. That is mastery. The body changes first because it is honest. The mind follows because it learns trust. Life improves because you are no longer scattered. This final key point is simple, but uncompromising. Do not leave the practice behind. When you stand up, let it inform how you walk, how you speak, how you decide, and how you rest. If you do that, the exercise does not end after 45 minutes. It becomes the quiet discipline shaping your entire year.